Astro, no. What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call that mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion, yeah, I feel...
Placerville Speedway, and what's going to kick off the final 4 points races of the season. And what's symbolic about that is it's the final 4 races for Andy Gregg as a car owner. Andy, it's been very documented on why you are retiring, to hang out with your family more, and you still want to race a little bit when opportunities present themselves. But what we might not know is, how'd you get here? How'd you get started in sprint car racing, and how'd you get to this point where we are today?
Well, so how did we get to 2021? It started out when I was 2 years old. My dad got a little dirt bike for me for my second Christmas, and then I turned 3 in February, and that's kind of what started my love for just racing in general. I raced dirt bikes from 5 years old all the way up till I was 18, and at one point in my career I'd even scored enough points to get my pro card to race professionally on motocross and supercross and stuff like that. But I was injury plagued. Like, I had a lot of injuries, ACLs, broken bones, things like that, so I never really seemed to recover the way I should have. My class at Loretta Lynn's included riders like Ricky Carmichael and riders of that era. So that's the guys that I grew up racing with as a kid, hanging out with those guys at the track, Loretta Lynn's, Ponca City, Minios. I mean, I traveled Florida, Tennessee, Oklahoma, all over on a dirt bike. And then my grandfather used to race here at Placerville Speedway in the late 70s through the early 80s, and got hurt really bad at Cal Palace in San Francisco on the finish line jump in a arena cross race, and spent a little time in the hospital. And my grandfather came to visit and said, "Hey, you get a cage, I'll support you." And we started looking and came across a BCRA mini sprint, midget light, 1200cc Suzuki engine motor. If you're not familiar with those, they have a wing, chain driven. Started racing those in '98. Picked up halfway through their season. 1999, I was Rookie of the Year, 6th in points. Then in 2000, I raced not a full point schedule with them. Went to Deming Speedway for the Clay Cup. Kind of knew in my heart that I wanted to be in a wing sprint car. The mini sprints were fun, they were cool, but every time we unloaded, I just wanted to go watch those guys run. I wanted to look at their cars, and so that was that. I wanted to do whatever means necessary to do it, to the point where I don't know if this generation, the current drivers, would even have thought to do this or what have you. I feel like most of the kids that I'm racing against now, they're so fortunate I didn't have their opportunities to have a family business or a family step up and give me grade A equipment right out of the gate. So when I started, my first car, this is 2001, I decided I wanted to race sprint cars. I met a guy named Rick Hurst, not Kyle's dad, another guy named Rick Hurst. He introduced me to a guy named Aaron Scheidel. He raced Marysville, Chico, Northern California stuff. He stopped racing in '92. And like I said, I started in 2001. So we went to his barn. He had an '89 Lightning, 29-inch bar car. And for all you young kids out there, all you 5-year-olds, as I like to call you guys, 29-inch bar cars, your torsion bars are only 29 inches wide. Now they're 30-inch wide torsion bars, the common. And we got this '89 Lightning. Motor was in pieces. There was probably 4 inches of dust on everything. I mean, it was thick. I wish I had pictures of it. My rear wheels weren't even splined. They looked like regular Chevy wheels for my fronts. I mean, it was as vintage as you could get. But I was happy. I was excited. I'm going sprint car racing. I'm going to be a sprint car driver. I'm going to set the world on fire. I mean, this is all stuff going through my head. I'm thinking about how I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get Rookie of the Year at Placerville Speedway, and somebody's going to call me up and I'm going to be a hired gun. I'm going to drive for Jack Hewitt, or not. I just might take that back. Sorry, not Jack Hewitt. I'm in Jack Gordon's RV. They had a car back then that I wanted to drive so bad. Or the Kumars or somebody, right? That's what I thought. You know, just being a 20, 21-year-old kid in that age. And got the car, got it all put together for the 2001 season. And then we showed up out here, and lo and behold, there's 9 other rookies, and that's a lot. Nowadays, we're lucky to have 1 or 2 rookies a year show up, but back then, sprint car racing was a little different. It was still somewhat of an affordable sport. It was expensive, but there were still guys building engines out of their house, building cars in their garages, things like that. It wasn't about having a hired help or name brand engines. So, with that being said, once again, like, my wheels weren't spline. I had 29-inch torsion bars, which you couldn't even buy. They're hard to come by, and steel-bodied shocks. No titanium. And I didn't let any of that stuff hold me back. And we kept plugging away, and Placerville was averaging 35 cars at that time. I mean, we were having B mains, C mains on weekly shows, and I just kept digging, and I surrounded myself with some good people. Joey Magera helped me a lot my rookie year. Rick Hurst, they got me, at least safe to be racing around. I'm sure that some of the other drivers at the time, Power Feed or Forsberg or whatever, they might have different opinions of me, or Eric Hopkins or whoever, Humphreys and Truly. I mean, they might have thought that I was a hazard back then, but I was good enough to best all those other rookies for Rookie of the Year. And then as I started racing season by season, just trying to improve on my equipment, hustling parts, there was years. So my second season, I moved in with CJ Humphreys to share a shop, and I owe a lot of my success to CJ Humphreys as far as car knowledge, and knowing that just because you don't have new parts doesn't mean you can't have good parts. And CJ's the MacGyver. He taught me how to be a MacGyver. We would go to the Gold Cup. Guys would wreck. The Outlaw teams would wreck, and they would throw parts away. And it kind of sounds cheesy or whatever, but we were dumpster diving, man. We'd go over there. We'd get front arms, put them in a press, straighten them out. That was my new front arm. I'd polish them, make them nice. We'd get Heims out of the dumpster, tie bolts that were still on wings, and that was it for the first few years. But I still had this burning desire to I wanted to move up the ranks in California, so I just kept digging and saving money and buying parts, and for a little stint there, I left California and would race Southern Oregon Speedway. I went with Jeremy Tyner. He was my crew chief at the time, and Tuna got me dialed in, and we would go up. They raced twice a month for their championship, so it was easy for us to go up there twice a month and kind of get away from the big car counts to where I could really learn how to put in some laps and whole nights. And so got my first win in 2004 at Southern Oregon Speedway. Had some quick times, second in points, and then decided, let's go 410 racing. So I bought this 410 off the internet. That was when the internet was really starting to make some steam here, right? And so I buy this 410. I got it, thought I had a 410, but I'll tell you what, my 360 ran better than this thing. That thing was an aluminum boat anchor. And I remember one year at Fall Nationals, we were quick time at Fall Nationals with the 360, and my 410, I couldn't even get it close to those lap times. So, but I toughed it out. I took that 410 and my 360, and we went on the King of the West. At the time, it was Golden State Challenge Tour. That was before Dan Simpson bought it. We went on the tour with those guys. I got Rookie of the Year with King of the West, which was super cool. And then I started just trying to put in my laps, pay my dues over the next few years, and then I got teamed up with Bill McLaren, championship crew chief, with lots of different drivers over the years. Joey Magera, Placerville Speedway. He won a lot of races with the Flying Hawaiian and Chico, and Shane Scott, that is. With Bill's knowledge and him settling me down, then I started, I think, opening some eyes, won some Civil War races, won some Placerville Point races, and then I had the opportunity to start picking up rides. I was able to drive for a guy named Rod Christopher, who ran, he was a 410 car owner for a few years, the number 46 car, I got the call to drive for Matt Petty and his family at Trophy Cup one year. So doors started opening up for me. It was super cool. I was so thankful for those opportunities and still am. And as the years went on, I got the opportunity to drive for Brett Urban for quite a few years. A lot of you guys will remember the 7 Industries deal. And my pimp entourage, a lot of guys. That was kind of an inside joke with the team. It was pretty funny. And that's where I got to spread my wings a little bit. Brett had the financial backing to let me have opportunities I never had before. We had more motors than I could count. I had cars and everything I ever needed. Brett provided for me, and that was something that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. The opportunity I had to drive for Brett. During that time, I was able to make a lot of good friends with a lot of guys. PJ's one of them. He was able to come into our team, and we kind of helped get PJ going, right? We pushed him. I'll never forget the time we were at Tulare, and there's this big scary guy, Willie Kane, up in this trailer, and he was scared to go talk to him, and we encouraged him to go talk to Willie Kane and other people, and help PJ get his legs under him to get his thing going. So it's super cool to see what PJ's been able to do, and know that I had a part of that, a small part of getting him going. So I'm really appreciative that he's here today to be able to help me with this. And then things are going pretty good for a while, and then Brett, due to the economy and just other things in life, Brett and I decided mutually that not to even go our separate ways, because Brett still sponsors me to this day. A lot of the stuff you see here, I still was able to have because of Brett's generosity towards me and how he believed in me. But it was just time for him to go in a different direction and not own a race car anymore. So then I started driving my own car again for a few years, and I chose to keep the 53 number, even though it was all my stuff, for quite a few years, because I felt like the 53 had a good identity, and I felt like we had a good thing going, and it was helping attract sponsors. And then I was able to team up with Brian Cannon while I was running the 53 car, and so we had some cool sponsors like Miller Fortune. We had Mike's Hard Lemonade, Coors Light, so some super cool stuff like that. And Brian Cannon and I, we gelled right away. We won a bunch of races. And during this time, Scott Russell, a good friend of mine, had Steven Allard, another really good friend of mine, driving this car, and they needed a shop, and I had the opportunity to share a shop, like return a favor. CJ gave me a shop, I gave them a shop to work out of, and it was at my house. And then Steven unfortunately passed away, and Scott started driving, and the Rubicon came around, and Scott always has to step away from driving duties, and it was a last minute deal. He asked me to drive his car at the Forney, and I think at this point right now in 2021, I still think I'd have to look, but I'm pretty confident I'm the only Placerville resident and driver that was ever sponsored by Mark Forney to win the race in his honor. So that was super cool to me. Scott was really close to Mark Forney. I was really close. Mark helped me a lot when I first started. He liked the underdogs. He liked my story. So it was super cool to give Scott that win. And then Scott and I teamed up for 3.5 years. And oh my gosh, our statistics were amazing. I have them written down somewhere. I read them at the banquet one year. But it was some staggering numbers. Like 3 years we had, gosh, in the 40s or 50s top 5s, like 70, 80 top 10, something like that. 6 or 7 wins. We went to Knoxville. I got Knoxville Rookie of the Year in 2014, driving my 410 car that I took Scott's 360. We put in the A on our qualifying night. And for the people listening, I've never been to Knoxville. I've never seen it. I've seen it on TV. You could put 2 or 3 Placervilles in the infield of Knoxville, so it's not in my wheelhouse. It's not my cup of tea. And for us to be able to pit on the front stretch for the 410 Nationals, the 360 Nationals, that's a feather in your cap. Like, it's a big deal. It might not seem like it to some, but it was a big deal to a team like ours. And then Scott decided he didn't want to be a car owner anymore. He wanted to take over the responsibilities of the track here. And right then I had my son. in 2014. So I decided that it was time to get the family car back up and going again. And so from 2014 till now, I've just been running the family car and spending time with my son, and I had a daughter. She was born in 2017, and it's time to go racing with those kids. My son raced last night in his dirt bike, and I plan on racing more with him next year and in years to come. And like the start of the video, PJ said that I am going to be open to available opportunities moving forward, driving for other people, but I'm not looking for them. I'm not begging for them. And so you might see me in a car 3 or 4 times next year, but if you don't see me in the car either, it's no sweat off my back, because I know I'm in a good place. I'm with my wife, I'm with my son, I'm with my daughter, and I'm going to give them the best opportunity they have to do things that I've gotten to do. So thank you guys for watching. We're going to have a few more videos to come, some more that have a lot more fun, more life to them. This one is more of just a rundown of how we got from 1980 when I was born to 2021. But the next few stories will be good, because we have some fun racing memories. We'll get PJ behind the camera here, or in front of the camera. We'll get my wife, get Scott, and some other people, because we got some we had a lot of fun racing these 20 years. So thank you guys, and come buy a t-shirt.